historically, some of the top tier teams have actually gotten wins out of that. And finally, we're on the draft for game number 1.
All right, welcome to the draft for this one. If we can get anything from maybe Aurora Philippines' performance earlier against Vamos, who, by the way, Aurora Philippines got to sweep Vamos earlier. Some of the picks that were shown off here that are quite unique to me are first, EXP lane Khalid that was shown off. Oh, wait, no, excuse me. Is it? No, okay, no. They did whip out on Khalid. I'm gonna have to double check which lane that was. There's one shared pick for Aurora that you need to look out for, and I think that has to be the Guinevere. Guinevere was showed off by Aurora PH, earning him from the playstyle of Apex 47 in MSC 2025, and he's going to be very aggro. Then roamers such as the Cho, the Hilda, the Khalid look good for him.
Yeah, the Khalid is definitely a prime pick. I would not be surprised to see that Cho, honestly. But then again, that's why this game is such a treat for us to watch, right? We're not 100% sure how Aurora Turquia has evolved. After that time, it's been like a few months already, right? So I would love to see how they've changed over the course of like the last 5 to 6 months. Did it improve? Did they become better? I'm pretty sure. But their playstyle, is it going to be going that way? Like, will we see Angela going over the Rosa in these games as well to compensate? I don't know. That's why this is so exciting. Oh, yeah, sorry, it's banned out.
Yeah. Jushin now gets taken out, so not going to be an option for Rosa. Frequently banned against Aurora and MTC. And now, though, the Eve might be open here for Aurora for the taking. If they're going to follow the same pattern as Aurora Philippines, an Eve CC makes sense as first 2 picks on the red side. If they're going to be following the overall Aurora pattern, then maybe a Granger might get slotted in, maybe a Harith, but we haven't seen Harith just yet. Not even in Stream A, if I'm not mistaken. So if the gold lane has really shifted to becoming very fighter focused because you want to play against YSS, who is still very much open here, then maybe it's time for us to consistently start seeing the Turkish Triggerman in Sigibum with a different hero. So we mentioned earlier the Hilda as a potential pick for Pagu. So not only is this a block against that pick, this allows Mythic Seal to play in the way that we were talking about earlier. Aggressive, take control. Plus, if ever that's YSS on the side of Aurora locked in here, alongside an Eve, then it might be pressured by the Hilda.
Yeah, the YSS is definitely gonna get pressured by the Hilda. That's why you want to. A lot of teams right now are actually picking the Hilda first. The Eve is also a big prio pick from the past few games, and if this goes Eve CC, definitely Renmar knows exactly how it's gonna happen. But wow, Kalea getting picked first by Aurora.
Yeah, still a really good combo. I think because they see the Hilda already, and it might. Even though there is still a very good chance it still might go into the EXP lane, Roam Hilda means that they lose Revitalize, they lose Healing, and Kalea will win that matchup. So Mythic Seal, they're making the right call here if they decide to go for the Kimmy. An Eve would be okay too, but the difficult thing about the Eve is you already see the Kalea and the CC. They will easily be able to just get out of the box, and you're wasting it. I feel like the Kimmy is a little bit safer.
Yeah, the Kimmy feels like it's just there you go. That's the easy answer. So, Mythic Seal, they're playing with heroes that really want to go and press well. Yep. I don't know if I said that right, but yeah, in the Philippines we'd say you just pindutan gaming. You just keep pressing stuff, and good things will happen if you press well. And that's what we're seeing right here. The Lunox on the other side, though, a little disappointed. I don't know why, but my heart was hoping.
Yeah, we're not going to see it on Ruby DD. And as much as I want to think that it is really just because they see Ruby DD and they're going, wait, that's the guy, that's the Lunox player of all time. Let's just not. This is a high chance that this is really just one of the best picks for Rosa. Again, if they're going to be playing towards aggression, even though the Lunox might have some difficulty early on up against being able to lane against the Kimmy, the good thing is, as a Lunox, you can heal through the damage being dished out by the Kimmy early on, and then eventually you're just going to be having significantly more damage in burst compared to the opposing team.
Yeah, your burst is looking good. I guess you don't want to risk the Ruby the Kimmy getting slotted suddenly in gold, and then the Ruby is going mid. So stuff like that, right? Small things like that is really good. Aurora definitely thinking ahead here, not taking any chances. And speaking of not taking any chances, look at that Leomord preemptively getting banned out. I love that. I think they saw the game earlier and they saw the potential, I guess.
Yep.
Or maybe they know something we don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if we go back in history, that's also one of the pocket picks for Aurora, and even Turkish teams for the longest time. For TNZ specifically, he is a Leomord guy, so well scouted out possibility there by Mythic Seal, and they take out a Yi Sunshin to boot. So in terms of the remaining junglers, the Hayabusa, if they're still willing to, but then you see a Hilda, they're not scared though. They're still willing to go with the Hayabusa.
I was half hoping for like a Fanny, because I know Tianzi is so willing. That's what I love about Tianzi. He is so willing to play heroes like the Fanny, even in high pressure situations. Hayabusa very stable, but like you mentioned, a little bit of adjustment being done to that hero. I'm not sure if that's gonna affect it, but we'll probably see.
Okay. Hylos now. Okay, that's going to bring the stability they need. So, good call here to not force the Hilda going to the roam. You need to match a little bit of healing provided by the Kaleo with a Revitalize. They might go Xborg Gold lane here. Or Xborg Gold, Uranus EXP, then roam Hilda, it seems like. Okay, so they're not going to go for the Hylos. This is a little bit more Myanmar Super League coded with what they're going for here. I really hope that's not a Mia pick. And there are some questions, but then the thing is, there's already a Lunox on the other side. I think, yeah, Aurora is just going to be looking for more damage, because to be fair, the Mythic Sea lineup is very tanky.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if Granger makes an appearance here, because I feel like you're absolutely right. And that would make it such a, what do you call this? Such a classic lineup, you know? But no, it's yeah, if it was gold Lapu Lapu, I wouldn't be surprised as well. It adds that layer of tankiness that I think Aurora Gaming kinda really needs in this draft.
Yeah. Will it be gold Lapu or a gold CC? We're gonna see once we enter, or maybe once the shuffles are done. Seems like that's gonna be it. It is gonna be a gold CC and an EXP lane Lapu Lapu. Boye will be going roam Hilda. Kun gets an EXP Uranus, and it is a gold lane Xborg for Ruby DD. So it seems like the patch that just dropped effectively have taken or changed the metagame that we have been used to for quite some time in the gold lane, and now significantly more fighters are showing up, at least in this group.
Yeah, a lot more fighters. I guess the patch didn't really pivot these players away from just fighting using that double fighter lineup, and in this scenario it feels like there's just no team that had like a straight up advantage on the draft. So I like both teams' drafts so far. Let's see how well they're gonna fare.
This is game number 1, Mythic Seal versus Aurora Gaming. Let's see who's gonna get the better start here. No one's gonna be overly aggressive, just leashing for both of their junglers, except a slightly more mid-prio here for Pagu and Rosa. A little bit of a start for Nico in the purple buff with the Lancelot, just to give him a little bit more up to speed. You see the damage there that can be dealt by a Hilda now, but he also takes a lot from Aurora.
Yeah, it's not easy to actually harass the mid, especially if it's a Lunox. Just has so much sustain with the brilliance, as well as the light pulses. So yeah, not gonna be ideal to stay there as much as you can. I guess Boy is just there just to make sure that the Kimmy doesn't get run over.
Yeah. Okay. Seems like right now, though, for Mythic Seal and Aurora, they are just holding steady at the center of the map. No overly aggressive rotations. Of course, this is what you expect now from 2025, late 2025 MLBB. Just a lot of exchanging at the center of the map.
Yeah, and that's why the mid trios are just so powerful. Like, you always have to note, okay, how is this team's mid trio looking? Right now, it feels like Pagu is getting the short end of the stick here.
Okay, he's going to be able to flicker out just in time, though, from the damage brought out by King of Flash's damage as the Lancelot. Speaking of which, he is going to be getting to the turtle first, but it is quite some time. So Aurora Gaming will have some time to get into position.
Alright, so getting into position I think will be very crucial. Again, that mid trio just sticking together like glue here for Aurora. Look at that. Man, beautiful dive in from Kun.
Yeah, zone out. They're very tanky. Aurora are getting just bodied out of this turtle pit, but here comes Lunar. Probably going to be the turnaround moment here for Aurora Gaming. They will take the dive and they will take the kill. Boya goes down. Who's going to get the turtle? It goes to TNZ. And just like that, Mythic Seal with all their bodies in positioning now get thrown back as the ultimate from Pagu brings back a member of Mythic Seal. But Aurora Gaming are having this team fight turned around on them. Kun with a double kill.
Yeah, that was huge. Again, this Uranus is making an impact a lot earlier than I thought it would. Just goes to show again the power of the Uranus, why it does get banned out in some games. So we're seeing the power here, and again the Lapu Lapu. This it looks cute, right? Like, okay, go ahead, throw your bravest fighter, see what happens.
That might be happening a little bit more, but look at the damage from the shadow kill of TNZ. Takes down Nico just like that in the center. And an early kill there on that Kimmy is not that big of a problem, but if that starts ballooning, then Mythic Seal are going to start missing the Kimmy's presence for damage, considering that it will be, and it is, one of the main damage dealers of this lineup alongside that Lancelot. They cannot afford any more kills for this Kimmy, while TNZ and Aurora have done a good job of putting a lot of pressure in the center of the map.
Yeah, and that center of the map, again, if you have control of that, you usually have a good control of the momentum of the game. That's probably why they're just so focused on making sure that doesn't get away from their grasp. Oh,
Tsunami Slam, just like that. Pagu forcing out utilities and forces the kill onto Boya. Another roamer kill, and that's the second death of the Kimmy, not the start that they wanted. A kill for Rosa in the center, and King Flash gets blasted, forced to go back out of rotation, but Kenzie also took a lot of damage from that exchange. Aurora and Mythic Seal will back off.
all right. So I mentioned micro is going to be the biggest factor here in this game. It feels like Mythic Seals is not really getting any major advantages on that regard. That is very interesting. All right, so we'll see later on if there's any changes. But for now, it does feel like Mythic Seal has they're just going toe-to-toe. No advantages whatsoever. The goalie is also just 1K, less than 1K for Aurora Gaming. So let's see what's going to change here.
Okay, Kun. Not the spot you want to be in as a Uranus, but the good thing is you can just really heal up through that with your passive. 2 kills onto him. Here comes the entry. Tsunami Slam finds Boya. The roamer goes down way too quick. Does Mythic Seal have enough bodies to hold this position, to hold for a retribution for their jungler? King Flash still here, but look at the damage from Rosa. But King Flash in the end gets the turtle. The damage from the Lancelot. Kun finishes it off. Killing spree for this Uranus and Mythic Seal. What we were talking about, what you brought up about this team earlier, Rockhard. Their willingness and skill to fight the micro. They are showing it off.
Yeah, they're showing it off, man. I literally am standing corrected right here. I mean, wow. All right, Mythic Seal really caught up so much because of that. Huge advantage. Again, it's not like a wipeout or anything. It's like 1 kill and 1 objective, but it will make a night and day difference, especially later on.
Yeah. Imagine, though, I wonder if it's in the back of their head for Aurora, the pressure that their opening game for GOF. What if they lose this? Okay, wait, before we talk a little bit more about that, Kun wait takes way too much damage, but he just gets away just in time from the Yo-Yo Blitz. And Curtain Call dished out on him by Aurora. So great escape there by the Uranus. As we were getting onto earlier, again, Aurora are going to this undefeated. What happens then to the mental? Are they even thinking about it? Teams usually say they're not affected by it. They don't count their streaks. But the fact that if they drop this game, their winning streak, their undefeated streak from MTC Season 6 suddenly is just gone, and they lose it to a team that didn't even qualify for the upcoming M7 World Championship.
I mean, it feels like they should be ready for that, right? Because, again, MTC is a completely different battlefield, I guess. If you think about it, the level of competition is maybe a little bit not what they're used to anymore after that very flawless run, like you mentioned. So Yeah, I wonder if they're mentally ready for that. But again, it's not really quite over yet because again, they are ahead by even just a small amount.
Yeah.
Although it is a lineup that I feel like shouldn't be ahead. Look at that.
Still very close, but it's the tankiness the Mythic Seal brought out here gonna be enough. Ruby DD still a nuisance, takes a lot of skills just to bring him down even close to 50%. Mythic Steel still have good control. Boye with his own, Kun as well. Ruby DD just standing in front. He takes the brunt of the damage from Aurora. Lunar goes straight to the backing flash. Wins the retry battle, and he will get that. Lunar takes down Ruby DD. That's one member of Mythic Steel down, and they are out of there real quick. Tienzi tries to go in, tries to find the shadow kill. He will, but will not be able to take Kun or anyone else down. Aurora continue the onslaught despite them losing the turtle. They have their eyes set on the tower in mid. They are happy with that, and they back off.
That is super good. Just when you thought, you know what, Mythic Seal are punching back, Aurora punches his back even harder. Although, again, for some reason, the gold is just getting equalized across the map. And you know and I know, that's actually one of the biggest things here. The gold and the level gap between our junglers, which is, honestly, that's Lancelot is ahead.
Alright. Mythic Seal now trying to just cover the ground that they might potentially lose if they are not careful. Aurora Gaming, though, very happy with what they've gotten. They do have the tower advantage. Go well for them. So Mythic Seal now, we're going to be looking towards maybe getting an advantage before the next Lord. If they play out a 50-50 for the next one, it might not go well for them. Best thing that they need to do is an advantage, because when it comes to the team fighting, Aurora will most likely win a 50-50 between these two because they just have a little bit more damage getting pumped out of them. Yes, the Uranus and the X-Borg demand a lot of skills to be used, but even if one of them fall, that's already more than enough to make the Mythic Seal lineup crumble. So Mythic Seal are probably going to be looking for an advantage.
Yeah, and the advantage is, the question is, where are you going to get that advantage, right? I feel like the Hayabusa definitely is the biggest target, or the easiest target to chase, ironically, because you have the Hilda. Look at that, Chadwick already used up so early on, and Chenzi with a knock-up. Boye actually is the one who's actually going to fall. Shut down with Kun, and it's a mega kill for the Uranus.
Perfect timing by Tianzi to use a shadow kill just in time to make sure he wouldn't eat the brunt of the damage coming out from the Hilda and the Lancelot. He survives, and just like that, they get punished. But Tianzi did eventually go down, so Mythic Seal are really trying to force the issue here because they know there's no opposing jungler to go up against. Seekaboo holding the perfect spot. He avoids the knockup of the Lord. The CC is there. The other members of Aurora as well. By the end of the day, it is Rosa who gets the last hit on the Lord as King Flash went down just in time for Aurora.
That was a miraculous take on that Lord, using the darkening of all skills. Rosa, man, oh man, coming in clutch, especially when Aurora needs it the most. And I think that will net them so much gold here. Kun and Boye up on front. There's a lot of tankiness, but I don't see a lot of firepower with the remaining members of Mythic Seal.
And again, firepower is the question. If Mythic Seal just had a little bit more, they would have been able to take down that Lord fast enough before King Flash eventually fell. But they just did not have the extra second they needed for King Flash to stay alive and be able to retribution the Lord away. Mythic Seal is holding, but Lunar already zoning. Aurora Gaming marching. Tienzi goes in with a shadow kill. Will it be enough to take down? Yes, it is! Nico, just like that, gets slashed and blasted by the Hayabusa of Tienzi.
You're talking about DPS. That's like the major source of DPS of Mythic Seal being removed just like that. Tienzi is such a treat to watch, honestly, on the Hayabusa right now.
Definitely. Still definitely got it since his star-making performances in the MSC 2025. Another Tsunami Slam there. Brilliance for the Lunox. Rosa still staying alive here. Mythic Seal just trying to stop Aurora from continuing their march forward and toward their base. Tienzi has another shadow kill up. He's going to commit it yet again. Ruby DD's armor gets popped. No kills that time for Tienzi, but Aurora Gaming have solidified their spot as being in the lead.
And all said and done, that's 7,000 for Aurora Gaming. after just like a few minutes of exchanges, I like what I'm seeing for Aurora. This is exactly how I kind of expected them or pictured them playing in my head.
Yeah.
Coming into this games in the future, and they are delivering.
Again, they also knew that the Kimmy needed to be taken out as much as possible, and he did. 4 deaths already for Nico. See, Ruby DD's last Insanity just got forced out there single-handedly by Lunar because of the high threat that the other members of Aurora were coming, and they were. The comeback here for Mythic Seal needs to be miraculous. It's pick-off for pick-off, capitalizing on mistakes, but again, this is an Aurora team. If you see how Aurora PH play, you'll know how Aurora Gaming from Turkey would also want to play. And again, it's the punishment, it's the basics, the fundamentals. Way too good right now for Aurora.
That's true, isn't it? Like, there's a template that we're seeing. There's literally a DNA for Aurora, and honestly, it works well. It works so well for them. And it's a template that kind of just deals with a lot of the teams that are playing all around the world. They don't need to change up too much, and it works for them. So far, Mythic Seal looking for a way in. It does feel like a pick-off from Tienzi, on Tienzi rather, would be great, but he's the one doing the pick-off here.
Yeah, that's going to be Tienzi going the back for Kun. Boya almost got taken out there. No more armor here for the X-Borg of Ruby DD as it was forced out single-handedly by Rosa. And just like that, Mythic Seal's hopes in contesting for this Lord have been dashed. And they will have to try as best as they can to hold off the eventual assault. But Aurora decided to reset. They still want to respect the chances that it might get stolen away. Or they're just dragging out a little bit more past 1340. But they're not rushing it. They didn't want to go for the Lord right away. Maybe it's a bait.
Yeah,
maybe it might work. Here comes the entry, the damage, the crowd control. But Nico miraculously gets the Lord. TNZ or King Flash did not get the last hit.
That was like a moment of hesitation from Aurora. That was heavily punished by Mythic Seal. That was beautiful. But then again, at the cost of 2 members, I wonder how that's going to affect this next set of fights. 12 seconds for Boye.
They're trying their can Aurora to just stop this Lord, and they will, completely blasting it and not even letting it get outside of the base. So Mythic Seal might have gotten the Lord, but might just buy time. Tsunami Slam, they find the Lancelot. Thorn Bros, Phantom Execution trying to get on out of there while dealing damage along the way. Looks like he will be able to get away, King Flash, but Kun takes a run of damage. The flicker forward by Rosa. And the Darkening with the Chaos Assault coming in from the Lunox takes down the Uranus.
Alright, so it's not like a game over scenario yet for Mythic Seal, but, you know, it could have been an opening. You're going to try to go and re-engage again. Non-stop team fighting seems to be the template here that we're seeing for both of these teams. Seem to be just banking on the kill gold to get a little bit of a lead, but it is Aurora Gaming. 9,000 on the board, and 2 inhibitors getting taken out for Mythic Seal.
Not over just yet, but the question still remains and it still stands. The damage, where's it going to come from? Where is Mythic Seal going to get that extra oomph that they need to finish things off?
It's definitely going to have to go from these items where definitely 4, on average, 5 completed items here for Aurora Gaming and 4 for Mythic Seal. They're basically an item behind on a man-to-man scenario. This is definitely a huge advantage for Aurora. Now, it's not always about the number of items you have. It's whether or not you can actually use it. I wonder if they can kind of just offset that by making a pick-off happen on Tienzi, maybe on Rosa. Again, a bit of a high ask, but that's the best you can do. That's the best scenario that they can find those team fights on, and especially if Ruby DD's Firog armor is actually popped.
Tienzi single-handedly was able to remove the armor of that X-Borg. Here comes Aurora's attempt at trying to take down the turret up top. Nico trying to potentially predict where the other members of Aurora would try to escape from or come from. Will not hit with the traction pulse. The difficult thing about the build path of the Kimmy right now is that a lot of the damage that you're banking on comes through Skypiercer stacks. He has no stacks on the Skypiercer at all. His 3rd item, Blood Wings. 4th item, Wind of Nature, which makes a lot of sense. But it's still really lacking the damage that you're looking for from that Kimmy. majority of the damage is going to be coming from that Lancelot. Considering that there is a Blue Nox that you can chunk down, even the CC will take a fair amount of damage from that Lancelot. Still, it's way too much pressure onto one very specific hero to be able to deal the damage. Mythic Seal at this point still do not have enough.
Yeah, considering that Kimi is actually 0 and 4 as well. So yeah, there might be a bit of a climb that we need to do if you're Mythic Seal. But you know what? Again, around the Lord, anything can happen. Sometimes the Lord just favors a specific team. I don't know why, but I think we saw that a few days ago. Oh, look at that. Tianzi again, just so aggressive.
Yeah, Rosa already popped up the Darkening. Might be bad. He will have Brilliance available for him. Now switch on over to the Light Stacks. Nico might just spot out, but Tianzi, but Boya was there. Stunned at the right time, saving the Kimi. The Wind of Nature is still going to be active for that hero, but Aurora, again, still have the advantage. Mythic Seal cannot get close enough safely.
Yeah, there's just no way that you can kind of do that, especially with Rosa up on front, as well as knowing that Pagu is close by. So, yeah, they're trying to find an opening. Boya is trying to check these bushes. It's just a lot more difficult than you thought, especially with Rosa up on front. Look at Chenzi, the one on the side. Might make a pick-off happen again. The Lancelot also one of the more vulnerable points of this lineup.
Divine Glaive now just built up by Nico. Maybe that will just actually be enough. But Pagu decides to go in with the Flicker. The Slam forces out the Purify. Aurora Gaming have lost a big utility and a big combo out of them, but it did force out a Purify from the Kimi. Could be or should be easier to take Nico down now, but what if they can't? Boy with a dominant size. Darkening for Rosa. Chaos Assault already utilized. He's now up to the Light Stacks for Brilliance. Ruby DD takes way too much damage, and King Flash gets spotted out by CD Boom and taken out single-handedly by that CC. Aurora have cracked the formation of Mythic Seal and potentially have already dashed their hopes of winning game number 1. Combo the burst. Way too much to handle. Aurora will take the game.
That was one of the most rubber bandy Lord fights I have ever seen, at least in the past few weeks. Man, it felt like Mythic Seal was just trying to... they were tugging at each other. These are two teams that are literally threading the needle of power on that Lord fight, which was eventually... it snapped so hard. The snapback was insane for Mythic Seal. And once they lost King Flash, that was it, right? There was just no way they were winning that game. It was either Aurora was going to get that Lord, or, again, like we saw, Aurora running down the mid. And that's exactly what you want to see. Effective it is on the team fight. It's Aurora Gaming who still won out on the macro and in the game.
Way too good, showing off why they dominated their region, and they continue that trend. It seems like Mythic Seal are going to have to do a lot going back to the drawing board to try and find a hole to capitalize on, a missing link somewhere, but Aurora just look way too solid. Despite Mythic Seal, I honestly liked how they tried to tackle this game. We got to see Kun get some kills as the Uranus, but the problem was they just could not have enough stopping power to stop Tianzi.